And I can dance.
Can you cook while you're dancing?
Well, I can dance while I'm
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Ah, meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friend's going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
And here we are now live for another episode of the Indie Creators Studio, powered by the Dorkening Podcast Network. And we have an awesome episode for you today. Patrick, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty awesome. How are you?
Oh, doing awesome. Yeah, especially the awesome guest we have. We also have Phil. How's it going, Phil?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Leo. How about you?
Doing well with Dark Discussions Podcast. Patrick, would you like to introduce our awesome guests today?
I would love to introduce our awesome guests. We have from the upcoming movie Army of One, which is phenomenal, by the way. We have Geraldine Singer from Get Out, Green Book, and Mudbound. Sorry, Geraldine, great to have you here. We have Ellen Hollman from Spartacus, Into the Badlands, and the upcoming Matrix 4. Very exciting.
Hey guys.
And we are joined also by Mr. Matt Passmore of The Glades, Satisfaction, and Jigsaw. Matt, thank you for joining us this evening.
Good to be here, guys.
So we're talking about Army of One, which is out on VOD, and I believe it's getting a physical release as well, if I'm not mistaken. Would either of you like to give a synopsis of the movie?
Well, do you want the long version or the short version? It depends how much time you have.
We have as much time as you guys have. So.
Well, considering we give a major plot point away in the trailer, I just might as well give you the shorthand, which is we follow the story of a woman named Brenner Baker, yours truly. Don't let the new black hair fool you. But Brenner Baker is a former Army Ranger, and he essentially goes on a rampage to avenge her husband, Matt Passmore, his untimely death. So the question is, how did he do it? That's definitely the detailed, gruesome question.
And we do have the trailer. We'll be playing that a little bit later. And like I said earlier, absolutely loved the movie. Patrick, you watched the movie as well. What did you think?
I did. And to answer the question, how does she do it? I would say very efficiently. Would be my response to that. This is one of those movies that, my wife doesn't always watch the same stuff as I do, but I had been watching it. I was out in the living room and she caught the second half. And as soon as I was done watching it, she was like, well, I'm restarting this and I'm watching this whole thing, because she was a very big fan of your character, both Ellen and Geraldine. She was very, very impressed with both of you. Matt, she liked you as well, but where she's coming from as a woman, as a badass woman herself, she kind of gravitated towards the ladies. I would say that this is one of the better films I've seen this year, and I am at about 375 movies that I've watched this year.
Oh my gosh!
I am far behind a couple of my friends though, who are at about 500 and 600. So my goal was to just get one a day, to average one a day. And
is that what you normally average, or is that because of quarantine, etc.? Have you raised the bar?
The last couple of years, I've gotten around 280 and then 350, and this year I've been able to. Working from home helps, but I've been able to step up my game a little bit.
That's quite impressive. That is quite an
So
impressive.
nothing to do with COVID. You're just on average.
yeah. I'm just a little above my my usual consumption. It kind of hurt not going to theaters, but that's what we have, all this VOD stuff, and getting to do this show and talking to folks like you, seeing the work that you guys are putting in, getting sneak peeks at stuff like this. This helps.
Yeah, I have to add one thing for Matt in prepping for tonight's show. I was absolutely shocked to hear your native accent.
Oh, you didn't know that he was an Aussie?
I did not. I'm used to you from the Glades. I'm a huge fan of the Glades, and just to in prepping for this, to learn of your Australian shows, and I watched some clips from that. It's it totally blew my mind.
Matt, this means you have to talk for a really long time.
I think most people over here. I'm sorry. No, I think most Americans think I just put on the accent and pick up chicks, but it is true. I don't often get paid to be an Australian in this country, so it behooves me to be as much like you guys as possible.
Don't
It
feel
is-
bad. My husband does the same thing. Only I think your American accent's a little bit better than his. He's really bummed he couldn't be here, by the way. He has a really good excuse. He is currently shooting Star Trek right now. So
Okay.
it's a really fun role that he's playing that I'm not allowed to tell you about, but it'll be coming out soon. It's a series, so you can't miss him. A giant Australian running around being a bad guy. That just seems to be his thing.
So can you at least say which series?
Picard.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's going to be on Picard, but he's already been on. So they like to change him up. That's the one good thing about that series is that you can be like 5 different guys over the course of a few months.
Yeah,
but still Australian, right?
All right then.
Still Australian, yeah.
In space. Especially in space.
You know I love those Aussies, Matt. You know I love those Aussies.
Phil, what did you think of the movie?
Well, I was actually quite excited about the film because, as I mentioned offline to Ellen, that I thought she was really good in The Secrets of Emily Blair, which is kind of a hidden gem horror film that unfortunately just left Netflix like last week after 5 years. It's kind of coincidence. And so I was excited to watch this, and yes, I enjoyed it tremendously. I love thrillers and things, and this is a really good thriller. Geraldine was a standout as well, and Matt, I liked your role as well as a conflicted person because of what happened to your character at the beginning of the film. So all in all, solid, well-rounded film.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
We do have the trailer for that, and I'll actually run that right now. Here we go.
What brings you two to this little community?
We're just traveling, getting away from work.
Hello?
Looks like it's just us. Dylan?
We need to get the hell out of here. Who sent you?
Let's go, maggots!
Thought you were dead. Pack it up, boys.
She's here. The army girl.
Today's your sentencing day.
You kill my husband, you all die.
And that's Army of One. There's a bunch of information in show notes down below or above, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And it's out on VOD right now, and I believe physical media. And so what was the filming process like?
Oh my gosh. It depends what end you're at, really. I mean, we hit the ground running, literally, some of us. And we shot in Dothan, Alabama. So we not only shot during the day, but we also did some night shoots as well. And I don't know if you're familiar with Alabama, but it can get pretty cold at night, especially, I don't know, if you find yourself with duct tape over your mouth in a ditch.
Oh, yikes.
Where in Alabama was that again?
We were in Dothan, Alabama.
Oh, okay, right on the coast.
Yeah, we didn't get to see much of it. We did, however, get to see some of the small rivers and get up close and personal with some water moccasins, however.
Oh.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's a nice area of that state. I've been there before. It's really nice. Yeah. I wish folks didn't see that trailer though, because that kind of
Well,
gave it
that's
away a
the
little bit.
That's what I said. Well, it's the same thing like when you see the John Wick trailer.
that's the
I mean, the entire caveat is dead puppy. So I think they followed that same sort of model. They're like, well, if it worked for these
that was
guys,
the opposite experience. God.
what's that, Geraldine? Uh-oh. I think she froze. Geraldine, come back. Come back. Uh-oh. I think we lost Geraldine.
Yeah.
Mama, come back, Mama.
Do you have a way to reach her via text or no?
Yeah, let me shoot her. Let me shoot her a text. You guys, in the meantime, can ask anything really complicated to Matt. Give him a really tricky question.
No, keep going on Ellen. I bet she can juggle and dance at the same
Can't
time.
hear, guys.
So, let's see. Oh, there you go.
I just heard her. I just heard Geraldine.
Ellen, I'm going to put my number in the private chat here. If you wanted to give that to Geraldine, she can call and I can pipe her in through the mixer here.
You know, I don't. Let's see.
Yeah, you can kick off, but can you text
Yeah,
and
I'm
interview at the
frozen.
same time?
Yeah.
So I had a question
No,
about
it doesn't
some of the
support
fight
this
training
program, honey.
that you guys went through. It looked like there was a bunch of different types of martial arts. I think I saw some Aikido in there. Was there anything specific that you guys, specifically studied,
I could
or was
use
it
a
just
pen and a
we think
pencil.
these moves would look pretty awesome?
Well, it was a lot of judo, jiu-jitsu, and aikido, and we watched endless hours of actual military training. One of my professors is the Gracie, Henner and Huron Gracie, and they go around the world teaching military how to defend themselves in the field. And we really wanted to bring that realness to screen, and that includes learning a lot of the groundwork, a lot of the ground game, because that's where most fights end up. And that's why what you see on screen is based in reality. It's how you would actually take an opponent down. And also, we train endlessly off season, regardless if we're shooting or not. Both my husband and I. So it just happens to be both of our backgrounds. So that is certainly beneficial when you're shooting an action film.
Matt, how about you?
Me, actually, I am military and did a bunch of Taekwondo and Wing Chun throughout my life. This jumping onto this job was like, no, I took my direction from Ellen and her big Aussie stud, who I had a crush on as well, and he made me look like a badass before I hit the ditch. And then I was out of there. So I looked in awe at the work that these guys were doing. And Ellen had such a vision for the fight scenes, and just for the time that I was there, which wasn't long. But I think she pulled it off. She did an all right job.
My head's still attached to my body, so I'm happy about that.
At the end of the day, that's what's important.
Yes.
So this story can go in a couple different ways, and we definitely don't want to spoil anything. But has there been any talk with expanding it any further, either with a prequel or a sequel?
I think, and I'm sure Geraldine and Matt will agree, that anytime you're working on something, whether it's TV or film, or whether it's a season finale or a film, you want it to be a standalone, because you cannot predict the future. Even if you're funded for a franchise, you don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of productions such as Glow that everyone was so enthusiastic about, yet due to the pandemic, of course, they were shut down and everything's kind of left on a cliffhanger. So what at least from my standpoint, I think it's important to button up a film as a standalone, but leave little Easter eggs that won't take your audience for granted and make you really angry they didn't get an actual denouement from it. So that's at least my perspective. So to answer your question, there are plenty of little Easter eggs in there, but if it doesn't go anywhere else, it does serve as a standalone.
Nice.
I actually had a question for you folks. A lot of films nowadays have the final individual, final girl, sometimes they call it, or just the lead be a regular person who suddenly becomes kind of a superhero by the end of the film, which obviously can be considered unrealistic. But you folks were smart enough to make the lead character be a person that had military training and whatnot. And Ellen, I saw that you participated in the writing effort for the film. What made you guys decide to do that? In other words, make it more realistic than the fantasy of the action thrillers that we've seen in the past, or even films thrillers today, where people suddenly are meek and then they suddenly become superheroes by the end, and they don't have training to do so.
Right. So to answer your question, I actually came on late in the game in regards to the script. So when I joined forces with Stephen Durham, he already had the story in place. So he already decided that this would be based upon a woman who was in the military. I essentially came on as a revisionist and gutted all the action, all my dialogue, and a lot of the other characters' dialogue as well, so that it would keep that pace, keep that banter, and also infuse some offbeat humor in there. So I, to answer your question, that's basically how I managed to make that impression. And I think what happens sometimes, I think what you were talking about is the character all of a sudden becomes stronger and better in a montage, which can be very effective in films, but it's not necessarily grounded in reality. And I think he did a great job of basically enforcing the fact that this is what she was capable of. But not necessarily in this type of scenario. So there was some newfound discovery with what she was able to accomplish. Like, oh, okay, she may be on the field surrounded by her cohorts, but never truly alone before. And because of that, she had to utilize her surroundings. And something that's unique about this film is that none of the actors had any stunt doubles, and there's no fancy CGI. Matt did all of his own action. Every single actor did their own stunts in this. So we're not like hiding behind any film magic.
Actually, just to add to that, what I was very much a ring-in at the last minute for this. There was another actor actually had to pull out, and my wife was playing poker with someone who knew Stephen, so I sort of came into this. But what I loved is getting on, after reading it myself and then getting upset, something Ellen brought in is like, yeah, you've got this kick-ass trained girl who's married to a cop, but they allow each other this really nice, like he's not intimidated by her skill set, and she's not just like pandering him and allowing him to be the man. They've kind of come to this sort of mutual respect, until he ends up in a ditch, and then she goes all kick-ass. But that was something nice. That was something that surprised me. The first time that Ellen and I started reading it on set, it was like, oh, there's a really cool dynamic that we're only just going to touch on because pretty soon in the movie we see her getting revenge. But that was a really nice element that I didn't expect to be straight up. That was all pretty much what I think Ellen brought to the scenes. We just kind of gelled that way.
Natalie in there?
Patrick, we do have a question here. Would you like to ask that, Geraldine?
Yeah, it looks like my wife, Ashes, has a question for Geraldine, asking, Geraldine, did you do anything specific in preparation for the role of Mama? Was there any place that you went to mentally in order to bring this character to life?
Oh, well, first of all, you can hear me, right? Because I'm having some technical problems on my end, right? So
We can hear you.
me?
Mm-hmm.
Great. No, I didn't particularly. She made a lot of sense to me. The only thing that I needed to do was know her backstory. so that I had a sense of how she got to be this tough and you know, she justifies her actions. So luckily I didn't have to die in a ditch or, you know, fight with Ellen in hand-to-hand combat. So there wasn't any special preparation, no.
Geraldine, if I could follow up, I was curious, you being from the South, and you said Louisiana or offline prior to the interview, and the folks that are in this are considered, I guess, rural folk. What was your opinion of the presentation of the rural folk in the movie? Because some folks may consider it, I guess, cliche, but others may think of it as a strong presence, specifically by your character.
Well, I hope I dealt with her respectfully, which is the only thing that, you know, that I could do, which is that I knew why and who she was. And first of all, I have to say, I am from Louisiana, but and I'm not saying this as to be holier than thou, but I am from New Orleans, which is kind of not like being from the South. It's because we kind of live in our own little bubble there, you know. But it's like there's New Orleans, and then there's the rest of the state of Louisiana. But I do live in the country in Louisiana, and I have run up against, I won't say people who are as you know, who are criminal, but you know, there's a level of poverty and disengagement sometimes, and you know, I have no qualm with it. So I think that's the only way I really can answer it. I don't know folks exactly like that, but I have run into some folks who are in a pretty hard up situation where you could see them going there.
The one good thing
that answers your question.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I was going to say the one thing that I enjoyed from this is it definitely shows two powerful women from two different sides of the coin. I mean, you have Ellen's character, which totally, you know, kicked ass throughout the whole movie. But then Geraldine, your mama's character, you know, you have such control over the boys in the movie, and especially, you know, it's crazy to see, like Gary Casper, this mountain of a man, and you know, you're controlling the whole gang there. So, you know, it definitely shows two sides of the coin of, you know, definitely some powerful women, and, you know, absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice
Well,
duality.
that goes back to who Mama is and what the relationship is that she has with those boys, and she doesn't really control them out of fear. She provides for them. She takes care of them, and she gives them motherly love. So they have fealty to her.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I will say I liked the opening scene with Matt, and you get to know a little bit about your character. And I hate when movies vomit exposition all over you, and it's like, you know, you have to have someone stand there. You know, it's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. Tell, don't show. Like that'll take me right out of a film. I think the way this was done, letting us know who your character is, while providing a bit of mystery about Ellen's character, you know, and we get to see that a little bit in the diner when it's like, well, I wasn't saving you, I was saving them. You know, you get that whole duality between the two of you, and I like the fact that they were able to do that. Now, was that something that you guys had a hand in, or was that something that was already set up? Because Matt, you said you came in late, and Ellen, you said you came in late. You did a bunch of rewrites and stuff. So, how did you guys come up with the way that you were going to express the backstory of the characters?
Matt?
Part of it is I think we didn't chat too much about it. Because I think a lot of the story is just sort of self-explanatory, and then as an actor, you really try and fill in as much as possible. But when you've got a character who's like, oh, he's a cop, and she's and she's ex-military, highly trained. What's their relationship like? And then it actually came down to the sort of chemistry with the nice chemistry that sort of formed, by instinct, by listening and reacting to each other. So I think I think some of the discussion just became like, are these two good with each other? Are they good with each other's powers and mutual respect? All right, well then we're gonna kind of play that. I love the way Ellen plays a little bit like, no, you're the man, sweetie, you're the man, and he knows exactly who his wife is. She's guys, and there's a nice playfulness there of like, yeah, I know. Even when he's now he's injured, but she's like, come on, you can say, wait, what are you lagging with hiking? What are you doing? I think they have a really nice chemistry and playfulness in mutual respect.
And I also think it's important not to play the end in the beginning. I think what makes the turn so effective with Brenner is that she's not like, hey, babe, let's go to the diner. Like, she's not trying to be this hard ass, this badass. And even throughout the film, she's not trying to be a badass. Like, she's not trying, she's surviving. And like I said, she was former military. So it's been a while since she's actually been in that world. So going on a camping trip with her husband, she's going to be lighter. She's going to let him take the lead. If anything, it's like, God, please take the lead, be in charge. So that when the twist happens, when she's completely on her own and she's chosen the path of revenge, it makes that twist so much more interesting because, like I said, not playing the end in the beginning. That's a huge job as a performer, trying to do that.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like everybody carried their own confidence in their abilities. Like they knew, like Matt was saying, it's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm a pretty badass guy myself, but I know who my wife is, and there's not not a competition between the two of you. It's you both understand, how you guys fit together, which I thought was excellent, the way that you guys were able to show that on-screen chemistry together.
Perfect. That definitely speaks levels of Matt, because he literally flew in. There was no rehearsal time. We're like, here, say these lines on the page and do it awesome. And he really did. We were so lucky to have him, and we were so lucky to have Gerald. We were so fortunate.
So a little bit further. Oh, I think we lost Matt. We see you, but we don't hear you.
I hear him pressing the button.
Yeah,
like I hear the button making noise. I would say Geraldine also is one of those characters, or one of those actors that was able to, push forward I know who I am, I know where my role is, and I know exactly what I'm capable of. And she exudes danger. Like, there's, 5 cops in the house, and she probably had the best line of the movie, oh yeah, it was probably suicide. Like, without expanding on that anymore. But it's like, oh yeah, oh, he was very depressed. He was very upset. Like, that was probably my favorite line of the movie. And it's just, this is what we're going to do. Very calm, very collected. Doesn't matter what the situation is, but she knows exactly, like, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, but I can plan for this. I can make this work. Oh, and we lost her again.
I do have a question for you, Ellen. This film obviously, I guess, has, even though they're just criminals, the moonshiners and whatnot. If you put it into like a gender role or political way of speaking, you could say that it's masculine, extreme masculine, or whatever that term is, and yet the leader of that whole group, toxic masculinity, that's what it was.
Yes.
But the leader of that group is actually a woman, and that is a matriarch kind of society thing, and you, meaning your character, is the complete opposite, because your character is the ex-military person, confident in their skin, female gender, and when it comes time to make a stand, you're able to do it. Did you look at this film as a political or a gender statement, or was it really for you as an actor or an actress, rather than the director and screenwriter, looking at it as just a good role to play?
Well, first of all, I feel like more now than ever, we are breaking that glass ceiling of, oh, I'm doing something despite being a woman. I like to change the rhetoric to, I'm accomplishing this because I am a woman. And one of my goals with Army of One is that once the plot really starts taking off and you see how Brenner handles herself in this situation, that there is a certain empathy, there's a certain heart that's brought to her character, a certain vulnerability that I think differentiates a lot of the male-dominated genre. And one of my goals was, halfway through the film, forget that you're watching a woman. You are watching a person. You're just watching a person surviving. And I feel that that's able to be accomplished when you are not relying on what makes you a woman, which is your sexuality. So we've been trained in society that women have to use their sexuality in order to kick ass. You see it all the time. You see the push-up bras, the thigh-high boots, and is that fun to look at? Yeah, I love fashion. But I feel that it's not necessary. And if anything, we have to retrain our brains to understand that you don't need to do those things in order to achieve your goal. You don't need, as amazing as Atomic Blonde was, and I really enjoyed that movie. That's actually my husband's son team did that movie. She's scantily clad the whole time. She's wearing her thigh high. She's the cleave, like everything. And it's granted it was based on a graphic novel. And I feel like that's something that the audience is constantly expecting. Like, oh, the hair is done, the makeup's done, she's looking all sexy and using her sexuality to get what she wants. Well, men don't have to do it. John Wick didn't do it. So why the hell should I have to do it? So yeah, I hope that answers your damn question.
No, I think that's a great point. And, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying about how things are kind of progressing, I take I don't know how many folks are gamers, but, you take a look at how when the Tomb Raider series first came out, she had like the crop top with the huge boobs and like the really tiny shorts. And now she's, wearing more, like she's wearing pants and a shirt, and, it's like the same thing you would see like, as an analog, the Uncharted series that the main character Nathan Drake is wearing. It's a shirt and pants.
Literally just wrapped that film. He literally just wrapped it. They're making, yeah, and even they're and I can tell you the characters in that are not over sexualized.
They're not, yeah.
Now more than ever, I feel like people are treating female heroines less as objects and more as just quick-ass people.
Yeah.
Well, we just hit a milestone just last week in Mandalorian. a lot of people made, with the last Avengers movie, you had that scene with all the women, totally kicking ass, and it was pretty much, here it is, shown right in front. But Mandalorian did a very similar scene, and everybody missed it, and now everybody's talking about it online, where you have these 4 women that are totally kicking ass, and it's just you're so enveloped into the story and the character that you don't realize that it's 4 really strong women totally kicking ass throughout half of the show.
Right, because they're not being exploited via sexuality. You know what I mean? And I'm sick of it. Like I can't tell you how much the rhetoric has changed. But my God, just even 5 years ago, you'd read a breakdown, and the first bit of the description, it wouldn't be like fierce, intelligent CIA agent. It'd be like gorgeous, voluptuous, doesn't know she's beautiful. Like, what no freaking woman doesn't know if she's attractive. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And they don't give those those descriptions to men. They're not like rippling muscles and his hair's blowing in the air. He's gorgeous and he doesn't know it. Oh my God.
Shirtless riding a horse through a field.
Gaston is riding a horse through the field. I don't know. I just really want to change the game. And I feel like, whether this is your kind of movie or not, we're not out to make Oscars, but we're out to really show you not just a high caliber action drama for the budget, but watch a person survive in a revenge love story.
And you did a phenomenal job at it. It's so we touched on this a little bit back with and hopefully we get Geraldine in for this question as well. I see her trying to come back in. With Matt, hopping into your character, for both Matt and Ellen and Geraldine when she gets back, was there any characters from your past that you drew on for your character in Army of One?
Matthew? I don't know. Can we? Oh, I think we're having sound issues with Matt.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Matt, maybe try popping out and popping back in.
He's doing sign language right now.
Welcome back, Geraldine.
Oh, did we get her?
Had her then.
Can you see? I hope.
Oh,
yeah, we can hear you. We can see
I'm
you.
sorry. It's so I'm getting kicked off.
No. You have multiple connections, so I'm.
Did anybody ask me any important questions?
Actually, he just asked a really great one. That is a perfect question for you.
Yeah. Was there any characters from your past that you drew on for your character in Army of One?
Oh, okay.
Oh, we got you breaking up.
Oh.
This is like Russian roulette with with Wi-Fi.
Dig him out.
Who's going to be next? I don't know.
Oh, nice deer hunter reference, Matt.
Absolutely. Personally, in regard to that question, I don't think I've ever gone, oh, I could take a little bit of that thing I did there and a bit of that thing I did there. I have taken elements of other characters or other movies that I've loved and used them, but I don't think I've ever gone back to anything that I've done and gone like, oh, I can use a little bit of that guy I did in Play School and a little bit of that guy from McLeod's Daughters. To me, every character needs to sort of be built from the ground up. Sometimes with a lot of work, and sometimes just like straight out of the ass.
I love that answer.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
yeah, that is. Geraldine, I have a question for you. With and this is kind of based off of what you said, Ellen, how characters by gender, people aren't really even looking at it anymore. And for example,
we're working on that. We're working.
Yeah, well, right, we're trying.
We're not close, but we're working on it.
Sure. And like for example, Game of Thrones was an excellent example where a couple of villains, Queen Cersei's and Queen Daenerys, were really powerful characters, and they had a lot of issues. And Geraldine, your character happens to be a similar in the sense that very strong, very powerful, controls people who obviously are more intimidating looking, and yet you kind of are now part of that group of strong, I guess, evil woman characters that used to be played by men. How do you feel about breaking, I guess, that glass ceiling, as Ellen mentioned earlier?
Oh no.
Oh, we lost that. I thought it was a good question.
It is a good question.
But we lost. Oh no.
Well, why don't we turn that question to Ellen? Ellen, what did you think about your character going up against a character like that being played by a woman, where she's obviously not as physically intimidating as some of the men that she's surrounded by, but she's got some sort of hold on them that allows her this position of power. How did you approach that with your character?
Well, if you think about it, both characters worked smarter instead of harder.
Mm.
One was more psychological and one was more physical. But a lot of times, yes, I will say most of the time, at least in my martial arts world, I'm not the biggest one. I'm not the strongest one. However, I use speed, agility, and sneakiness to achieve what I want, and that's hopefully not to get tapped out. So that's not dissimilar to also psychologically using your strong suits to get what you want. That's what Mama did, and the meeting of the minds towards the final act. Both Mama and Brenner are using their best assets against each other, and I think they're more similar than you think.
I will also add that there were some fun. I think the challenge, like with a horror movie, when you're trying to you do a very creative kill, when you're trying to do a fight choreography, it's difficult to try and do something that people haven't seen before. So when you're combining a bunch of different martial arts, I will say the hallway scene with the knife in the leg, that was probably my favorite move.
Thank you for noticing that. That was actually really challenging. What people don't realize is that was a oneer. So we shot that all in one sequence without cutting. And if people, the keen eye, Patsy the angry nerd, that's what your description says on your Zoom profile there. What people don't realize is here I am fighting this merc in the hallway, played by Leon, who's absolutely incredible. So when I stab the weapon into his Achilles heel, what you don't see is the camera moves and our effects guy puts a fake one in there, and we already established a hole in the wall so that it kept the prop knife in the wall. That happens in half a second. So the camera literally pans away and comes back, and all of a sudden there's a knife stuck in the wall. He switched them up. So it was actually a cut off blade to stick into the wall. Little things like that allowed that. And also he sold it. His performance screaming also sold it. And of course, since we are going, you can't do that type of continuity without sort of tricking it. And that other camera move we did is when I'm coming down the hallway, sometimes what you hear is more powerful than what you see. And my husband and I, when we did the previs for this, he's like, well, what are we going to do? Because we can't actually show you smashing his face because you'd see blood. I'm like, we'll let him sell, like the screams, let him sell the fact that he's getting pummeled by my boots. And that way, when we pan back, we can have blood be put on his face when camera comes back. So little things like that. And then all the breakaways in the kitchen, like that whole sequence was a massive reset. But we managed to get it, no joke, we managed to get it on the first take.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It is impressive.
I couldn't believe it. Like you sometimes when a sequence goes really well, you just have this like electricity. You just feel it, and everyone was cheering at the monitor. So I figured, something must have gone right. But when I watched playback, I wanted to make sure that every hit sold. In order to achieve that, you have to make sure the camera is roving in the appropriate area. Because if I throw a punch to camera, that's gonna sell. But if I'm right here, and you can clearly see it's a miss, so camera has to constantly be oscillating, constantly move around, and thank goodness we rehearsed that part. So yeah, it turned out. I love that you mentioned that, because that's actually my favorite action sequence of the whole film.
See, I'm a fan of, and you guys can speak to this, probably more than I can, but when you have smaller budget films, the fight scenes are more convincing and easier to follow than these big budget films. Like if you watch a Marvel movie, especially with this, they have this disposable CGI army that they're battling. A guy will go to throw a punch, and you'll see 4 cuts before the opponent gets hit. Like every time someone does something, it's a different camera angle, and it's like I get whiplash trying to follow along with what's going on.
Right, and they also do the shaky cam. They punch in the shaky cam to show that the actor can't actually throw a punch, or they cut around to hide that it's a double. And it's very time consuming. It's so time consuming to cut around a double, and that's why Stephen Dunlevy, my husband, and I made sure to cast all of our stunt players who could also perform. So when we were doing the casting process, I had them audition. Every single one of them audition. So I'm like, we do not have the time, we do not have the budget to shoot these scenes twice, because that's essentially what you're doing. Every scene that has action, you just shoot it twice. Once the double, and then that's not even including what you have to do in post. And fortunately, that's been my world for a few years now, and that's a whole reason I was able to work on Matrix, is because Lana Wachowski didn't want a double. It's so much, and it's just so much more believable. It's so much more believable when you see the performer do their own action. Like the whole opening sequence, Matt being able to do his own action made it so much more believable.
Yeah, like that. It was great.
I was just going to say, we talked about this on an earlier episode, but I turned off a movie recently because of that. It was, so evident that the people that they, the actors that they brought onto the movie really couldn't do their own fighting style, even though it was a fighting movie, and it was a ton of shaky cam, and it was trying to make it look like they're actually fighting, and it was just horrendous. That 20 minutes and I shut it off.
See it a lot on TV. If they have the budget to face replace, you see that a lot in TV. Just chop.
Yeah, Patsy, I'm with you. When things get cut up into millisecond things for so long, it just becomes a bit of a blur. It becomes white noise. I think when they are used in good fight sequences, they earned. But I think the fight scenes that I really love sit on a medium or a wide. And I think Bourne Identity was one of the best things that did that back with the James Bond series. It was fast, it was furious, it was grubby, but it would sit in kind of like a mid to a wide shot. And I could tell when these guys were getting into it, it was like, yeah, we got no time and we got no money, but everyone on that set seemed real. Yeah, and it wasn't even like a creative choice. It was just like, this is what we're doing, guys. Get it right.
I mean, even to kind of touch on what Ellen was saying, the first Matrix film, like those fights between Keanu and Hugo, like there weren't 900 cuts. You got to see them go back and forth. Like that was excellent. Like the wire work, like so good. But again,
Keanu puts in his time. Like in fact, that's. It's funny you say that, because the original Matrix, Keanu Reeves' double was Chad Stahelski, who directs the John Wick franchise. His double became one of the most, on fire directors right now. John Wick really elevated that genre because Keanu trains 4-5 months in advance for these films. Like that's how long it takes to learn these skills, and that way you're not cutting around. You're actually seeing him do the choreo, but it is a very specific language. It's a very specific language that stunt team, my husband's stunt team, 8711, it's their own world. Like it's essential that people can plug. It's like a plug and play, really. So if I were to, let's say I were to go to, I were to shoot some film and the fight choreographer knows jujitsu, like we could speak that same language, and what may take an actor weeks to learn could take maybe an hour, because it's like, oh, okay, so let's do like a flying armbar here and then go into like a triangle, and then from that like do like some more like ground and pound submission stuff. And so it's like, okay, cool, I get it. So you're not like, this is how you throw a punch, this is how you do. You don't have to like start from zero, because it's hard and it's risky, and you can get the crap kicked out of you. Like it's not easy on the body.
I would think that it having a background in martial arts, or some sort of physical combat training, like I studied Northern style praying mantis kung fu, so I know what it takes to spar with someone for 3 or 4 minutes, let alone do an entire long drawn out fight scene. Like I understand, like I can look at it and I can say, okay, I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, I totally get what you're doing. But what I could say is I can draw on my experience. Like I remember what it was like for me going up against someone who was much better than me, who kicked the hell out of me. And that was like 3 or 4 minutes. These guys are doing this for 10, 15 minutes at a time, over and over and over and over. So I can draw on my experience and be like, man, this is really impressive. But I definitely think it helps a lot if you've got, like you're saying, you speak the same language, the same fight language. And that's probably the best way I've heard it described.
Right, and it's very important, and that's something I'm going on nearly year 7 training with the team now, and they train how they perform. So if you spar, let's say for 5 minutes, which is a hell of a round, a 5-minute sparring session is, oh my God, like where's the vomit bucket? Like it's really hard. So as soon as you finish the round, you get maybe like 30 seconds before the next one. So you not only learn how to function when you're absolutely exhausted, you eventually become stronger, your cardio is better, and you learn how to excel, and you don't you try not to make those mistakes that you normally would when you're fully energized, but you're only as good as you are on your worst day, really. And there's a lot of directors that now more than ever like to shoot in masters. Chad's one of them, Lana Wachowski's one of them. So they may perhaps cut it in post, but they shoot in masters. So if you can't sprint for 3 minutes straight, then you won't be able to do it. It's just like it's a whole other level, which is maybe why my body will be broken by the time I'm 50.
And it's combining that fighting skill with theater skill as well. Not like knowing that all that fighting language and those skills get put into a dance. You're dancing with another person. Each performer is giving each other cues and everything. I did I did a commercial back in Australia with a guy who was a trained fighter, but all he'd done is fight. And so, he was like doing a whoa, just snapping. And, we were kind of like, well, you got to give me a cue to see it's coming. So we start moving together. Whereas his whole thing is like, no, my whole thing is to put you off balance, to think it's coming from here and it's going to come around. And it's like, no, this is a dance, dude. We're not in the octagon here. We're dancing, buddy. Do-si-do.
Yeah. You did so beautifully, Matt, is in the kidnapping scene when you're getting the living snot kicked out of you. Like there's a couple times on monitor, I'm like, oh my God, is he okay? Like,
the guys are so lovely too, by the way. I think Steven got pissy at us one time. We're like, all right, enough with the jokes. All right, any more poo and fart jokes? You know what? Leave it till afterwards. This is serious. Matt, die. You kick the snot out of it. You know, it's like, all right, we'll save the shenanigans for after.
Yeah, but you like how you sold those punches though. Like that's the performance side of it.
Oh,
So-
I've been beaten a lot. Yeah, I got a lot of.
Were you beat up?
I've been married for. Hang on, no, I'm kidding.
How do you think Dunlevy became such a great stunt performer?
I can take a punch really well. Throwing them though. Yeah.
You've been together almost 10 years. Trust me.
I block every punch with my face. Nothing gets through. So good.
So funny. It's really funny.
I know we are running a little bit past time. I wanted to make sure we touched on, you know, projects that you're currently working on. Ellen, I know you mentioned Matrix 4. Any information you can give on that or any other projects you're working on?
Matrix 4 is going to be coming out December 2021. So nearly a year from now. There's a lot of post-production that we're doing in that one. And also Monsters is currently streaming, and we just scored really high on Rotten Tomatoes, which is super exciting. The article just came out today that it's one of the best of 2020. So if you want to feel good with an action comedy, it's just, I mean, I can't rave enough about it. It has Michael Rooker, Dylan O'Brien, who's freaking hilarious, and then Jess Henwick, who also happens to be one of my castmates on Matrix 4. Small world. So yeah, if you want a movie that's just gonna make you smile, go check out Love and Monsters.
And she's a talented fighter too.
She's so well. She was a ballet dancer. That's where
that makes sense.
It originates from, and then of course she went on to the Marvel universe
And Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones. Like she picks up choreo so quickly, and she's just like in Love and Monsters, we have a really kick-ass fight scene together actually, and she's like, throw me on the ground, throw me in the sand, like I want to get used to the sand. I'm like, are you sure, babe? She was just down. She's just down for it, and she's just I absolutely adore her.
I met her at a con. She was very, very nice.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
And I've been hearing a lot about Love and Monsters. I have it on my watch list. I'm going to try to see if I can catch it this weekend.
Yeah, it's a
how about you, Matt?
I head back to Australia for the start of next year to do season 2 on a series called Frayed, which is on HBO Max. That's why I grow my best pedophile moustache. It's set back in the 80s in Newcastle. Yeah, no, they won't let me near primary schools for the whole time of the shoot. But you know, it's the 80s, so we wear those shorts that like send your voice into a higher register. We call them the cut sandwich for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting back into those.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting, Matt! I'm so happy for you.
Oh, that is amazing.
It's good to be in a comedy every now and again.
Yeah.
I need to ask, and I know it's probably going to be a sad answer. Are we ever going to find out who shot Jim?
I think it's pretty obvious. A&E did. They killed it. No, you know, I think, you know, no one planned it to go that way. I think, well, what I do know is Fox really thought that we had another season coming, and then, you know, networks, studios, it's just the business. But what it has done is I've gotten that question just about every day since. So like, it's been how many years since we did The Glades? And I could show you a tweet or a message on Instagram that someone gave me today saying, you know, who shot Jim. So, you know, there's been so many shows that I've done that, you know, no one can give, you know, 2 pips about, but somehow Jim's death really struck a chord.
Well, it was a phenomenal series, and I know a lot of us were sad that it just ended like that. You know, it's so hopefully one day, you know, some of the networks, you know, smarten up and they bring you back to, you know, finish off the story. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I actually have 2 storylines that the executive producer thought they might run with. So I have, you know, things that I knew they might do, but you know, until it's done, that's just where we've left it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patrick or Phil, you have any other questions before we start to wrap up?
Matt, I just had to hear what's the name of the show again? You're working for HBO. Your accent was a little thick on me. Sorry.
How many beers has it been? It's called Frayed. It's based on the comedy of Sarah Kendall. She writes it. She's the main character in it. But a great Aussie comedian, Sarah Kendall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Writing that down.
Yeah, HBO has been killing it lately.
It's all about the Max.
Oh, totally. Patsy.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I really enjoyed this film. Matt, I know you were only in it for a little while, but I thought you were really good.
Thanks, Mike.
I thought you did a nice job. I was a huge fan of you in Jigsaw. Ellen, it was awesome watching you run around, kicking the hell out of people, getting to see not just like, oh, I'm a badass, I'm gonna mow through all these people, but like you said earlier, an intelligent badass. Like, I'm gonna beat this guy up, but I'm gonna kill that guy. And there's smart moves that your character makes throughout the. Because I will say, I kind of blame her for what happened at the beginning, because it was like, hey, let's just go. No, like, let's look around and let's dig through some of this stuff.
Thank you. See, I've been waiting for someone to say it. I didn't want to be the one.
Left or right?
I wanted to. No, not even left to right. Like, hey, look at all this cool. No, we should probably go. I have to. I'm hurting. Like, I don't have any more trail mix.
When they're on the trail, he goes left or right. She's like, left.
Yeah, but see, that I don't blame her for. I don't blame her for that, because she had no idea. It was
well, Pat,
after the rainstorm.
You could actually blame Ellen's character also for flipping the bird. They could have, it just, as Matt's character said, let's forget it, ignore it, just.
Yeah, it's like the Key and Peele thing. It's like, Denise, leave it. Like, oh yeah, my boyfriend's going to kick your ass.
Yeah. Behind the whole thing, I'm telling you. The whole thing.
Nowadays, I just wave to anybody who yells at me, and because I road rage, you just can't. They could have a gun, So it's like, oh hi, I'm sorry.
Find out that Dalton had this huge life insurance policy, but the only way to do it to get it, like, it's got this complicated clause that you have to go on a revenge tour in order to cash it in.
Yeah,
I don't think his arm was bent too far around his back to stay in the hut there for that night, though. I don't.
No. I think he was all right, but it was after, like, hey, let's investigate this place. No, let's leave. No, let's dig around and see what we can find.
Whoopsies.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Sorry,
Yeah. Well, at least we're in the ditch together. Oh wait, you're alive?
Yeah. Oh, right. About that.
Oh, I'm glad we made it. Oh.
Yeah.
God,
he's such a bad show. Your face. All right.
Can you believe that guy didn't double tap? Come on, let's go.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. Final question for each of you: top 3 movies that you enjoy. Start with Ellen.
Can we alternate?
Totally.
I'll alternate while I think of the other 2. I love the movie Moulin Rouge, romantic tragedy. I'm a sucker.
The new one or the one with
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman. Okay.
Yeah. I used to have that poster on my wall. I mean, we're talking overall, every genre.
Overall,
hard one. Braveheart. I think Braveheart is the perfect movie. Forget the history. I'm not talking about the history. I'm talking about the perfect movie soundtrack, the whole bit.
Totally.
The Scottish blood in me.
Gladiator is another good one. Right.
Yeah, the Moulin Rouge I was thinking of was the Zsa Zsa Gabor Jose Ferrer one. That was from 1952. Yeah, that was a good one too.
Is Gladiator your next pick?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna throw that out there since he took Braveheart.
Okay, you're up, Matt.
All right, I'm gonna go with In the Name of the Father. Was one that I was obsessed with. I'm just completely at a blank on the actors, but I'm a method actor. And it's to me, it was one of those. One, it's a movie that makes me seem a lot smarter than I am. So I'm not just talking about action movies, because my third one's going to be one that I'm sure I'm going to get crap for that about. But it was one of those first
Daniel
films that I went,
Day-Lewis, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go to acting school. I want to tell stories like that. Yeah.
Ellen?
I'm gonna go into the Pixar world. I think I love WALL-E. Something like WALL-E. I have a lot of godchildren, and I spend a lot of time watching cartoon movies. And I've seen WALL-E so many times. I'm like, oh my God, is this where we're going? Is this our future? I just think it's a perfect movie. I think it's a perfect movie. Romantic tragedy. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? All of these are romantic tragedies, guys. Wow, I just delved into my soul there.
Yeah, I've seen that film hundreds of times. I have the box of diapers behind me here, so I have the two little girls upstairs, and we watch that film all the time. So I know what you mean. It's a great film.
Yeah,
and we got Soul coming out next week.
I know.
Yes.
I'll see that one 100 times too.
Yeah, totally. Matt, what movie are we gonna laugh about?
I'm gonna finish with the greatest movie of all time, Predator.
Oh.
Watching that movie with me and my mates get really pissed off because we know it word for word, and they're just like, "Shut up!" But I have to constantly show off that I know this damn movie word for word. Best movie of all time.
Nice.
That is a great film. It's a great film.
Yeah.
I will say there's only one. I only have one issue with that movie. I only have one issue with that movie, and it's a continuity thing, and it bugs me every time when he steps on the scorpion, it's facing a different way after he takes his foot off it.
True, not important.
No, but that's the only thing that bugs
There's
me.
enough baby oil to make you forgive the damn scorpion, my friend.
That's true. That's true. I mean, some of the greatest lines of all time. Ain't got time to bleed. Like,
that's right.
Come on.
He's stuck in there like an Alabama tick.
I'm gonna have me some fun.
have me some fun. Yeah.
Don't
She's real sweet. She got everything.
Don't get him started.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
how long have we got? Roll credits. Here we go.
That's great.
My big issue is that first scene should never have been put in. And I know there's been lots of talk about it and everything, but you know what? When I first saw it as a kid, I didn't give a crap. But as an adult, to me, it's a big giveaway. We don't need to see the spaceship above Earth and it coming down. It still could have survived without it. But still, even with that scene, perfect film.
do you watch Stranger Things?
Yes, indeed.
So I've been saying this since season 1. David Harbour, Jim Hopper. That's the same Jim Hopper from the beginning of Predator.
I know this Hopper. He's from Fort Bragg. What the hell were they doing here?
I'm telling you, it's the same dude, same time frame, same training. It's the same guy.
That's a great Schwarzenegger. You did well, Matt. Oh my God, that was awesome.
The CIA because you're pushing too many pencils.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, Matt, where do you like interacting with your fans? Where do you like people following you?
Instagram. Yeah, go to my Instagram tag thing. I'm really good with it. You can tell with all the technical problems I've had here that I'm really up on that. But no, Instagram's normally the place.
Okay, I believe you are Matt Passmore 11 on Instagram. I got the
double one. It is
double one. Okay,
it looks like 11, but it's double one. No, someone
double.
else had Matt Passmore, so I just went, all right, I'll just keep doing ones until one of these works.
Nice. What about you, Ellen? Where do you like interacting with your fans?
So you can say hello to me on Twitter at Ellen Hollman, as well as Instagram at Ellen Hollman. And then on Facebook, I am at Ellen Hollman Official.
Awesome. And I got all that information in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about your memory. Just go down below and click it. Phil, where do you like people following you?
Folks can follow me at the Dark Discussions Podcast Network. So www.darkdiscussions.com.
Okay, Patrick?
Best place, throwdownthursdaypodcast.com. That'll have all our latest news and articles. our latest episodes, including the article "What Makes a Christmas Movie." There's some discussion about Die Hard on there that has been rather divisive, but that's okay because that's what the point of the article is. You can also find me every Thursday on Spotify on Throwdown Thursday with Ashes Von Nightmare, my wife, and you can find me every Friday with my brothers on The Loudest Sports Show, and you can buy my book on Amazon. How much do you tip an exorcist?
Okay. I want to thank you all for watching. Head on over to thedorkening.com. Ellen, I know you need to head on out, so we'll make it quick. I want to thank you all for watching. Check the show notes and check out Army of One, and we'll catch you guys later.